On June 14, 2025, the skies over western Iran erupted, not with thunder, but with war. Operation Desert Fury had begun. Over 200 Israeli aircraft surged across the border, targeting Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure. F-15I Rams, F-16I Sufas, and electronic warfare jets unleashed more than 300 precision-guided munitions in a coordinated assault. Bunkers shattered, command centers went dark, and airbases burned as Israel sought to cripple Iran's strategic assets in a single, overwhelming blow. The plan was shock and awe, saturate defenses, strike everywhere at once, and leave no time for an effective response. Explosions lit the night from Tabriz to Isfahan, but the cost was immediate. Civilian casualties mounted as debris rained on urban areas. Israeli losses began to trickle in, an F-15I downed by debris, an F-16I lost to anti-aircraft fire. The easy victory some planners hoped for was already slipping away. This was more than a military operation. It was a message of deterrence, a gamble to reassert dominance. Israel had committed nearly its entire offensive air power to this night, betting on technology and training to prevail. But confidence in modern warfare is fragile. Iran's defenders were ready and the real test was just beginning. Leading the assault was Israel's F-35 Yadir, the Mighty One, a stealth fighter designed to be invisible, unstoppable, and lethal. The Yadir's stealth technology let it slip through radar networks, acting as the unseen spearhead of the operation. Its pilots, the elite of the Israeli Air Force, were tasked with the most dangerous missions, neutralizing Iran's advanced air defenses. Flying ahead of the main force, the F-35S used their sensors to map threats and create safe corridors for the rest of the strike package. In countless exercises, the F-35 had proven nearly untouchable, its kill ratios legendary. Tonight, the Adirs were the ghosts in the machine, confident in their technological edge as they penetrated deep into Iranian airspace. No radar alarms, no warning sirens, the F-35S seemed to be performing flawlessly. For Israel, the F-35 was the ultimate weapon, the embodiment of air power supremacy. As the operation unfolded, the era of stealth appeared to be at its peak, but the battlefield was about to challenge everything the world believed about invisibility. The Adir's reign was about to be tested. Iran's answer to Israeli air power was a dense, layered, integrated air defense system, one of the world's most formidable. Decades of investment had produced a network blending Soviet-era hardware, domestic innovations, and advanced Russian S-300 and S-400 batteries. Long-range systems formed a protective umbrella, while medium and short-range defenses, mobile guns, and shoulder-fired missiles made low-altitude flight deadly. The real strength was integration. Iranian engineers, aided by Russian and Chinese expertise, fused disparate radars and launchers into a single resilient network. Sensor fusion allowed low-frequency radars to detect stealth aircraft, cueing more precise fire control radars for targeting. Mobility, decoys, and deception kept assets hidden and forced Israel to waste munitions. When the attack began, Iranian operators cycled radars on and off, creating a confusing electronic environment. The IADs was not a brittle wall but a flexible, lethal net. As Israeli jets advanced, the Shield of Persia was ready to ensnare them. The stage was set for a clash of technology and tactics. The myth of the F-35's invisibility shattered just after 1:30 a.m. Deep in an Iranian command bunker, operators tracked faint, coordinated blips, stealth jets, barely visible but detectable. Iran's VHF radars, like the Russian Resonance NE and indigenous Gadir, picked up the F-35S as ghostly smudges. This data was instantly shared across the IADs, cueing powerful S-400 and Bavar 373 radars to focus on narrow sectors. Concentrated radar bursts increased the odds of a return signal, even from stealthy targets. Passive sensors listened for electronic emissions, refining the track. Multi-static radar, multiple transmitters and receivers, caught deflected signals the F-35 couldn't hide. The networked sensors built a composite picture, turning whispers into a clear target. The impossible was happening. The invisible was now in the crosshairs. Major Yaron Eshkol, piloting Adir 921, was deep over Fordow, confident in his stealth. Suddenly, his cockpit erupted with alarms, a high-priority S-400 missile lock, something he'd only seen in simulators. Doctrine said he was invisible, but the lock was real. Eshkol banked hard, deploying flares and chaff, his electronic warfare suite jamming furiously. 2 missiles were already in the air, diving at hypersonic speed. He evaded the first with violent maneuvers and countermeasures. It detonated harmlessly nearby. The second missile, guided by updated network data, adjusted course. Its proximity warhead exploded off his right wing, shrapnel shredding the jet's control surfaces. The F-35 spun out of control, alarms blaring. Realizing it was hopeless, Eshkol ejected into the darkness over hostile territory. The unthinkable had happened. A stealth F-35 was downed in combat. The Israeli command network reeled as the icon for Adir 921 vanished. The age of invincibility was over. The loss of Adir 921 sent shockwaves through Israeli command. The wingman, piloting Adir 928, witnessed the explosion and immediately broke away, desperate to escape. Her stealth compromised, she dove low, evading radar but now a hunted target. Iranian operators, emboldened, cued a Bavar 373 battery and launched a missile. She dodged the first, but a second from a Khordad 15 system was waiting. The missile struck the rear fuselage, obliterating the jet in a fireball. For the second time in 30 minutes, an Israeli F-35 was destroyed. The myth of stealth's invulnerability was shattered. Israeli planners faced a new reality. Their most advanced jets were mortal. Iran's air defense network had rewritten the rules of air warfare. The world was watching and recalculating. The balance of power had shifted. News of the F-35 losses exploded worldwide, shaking military and political establishments. The F-35, cornerstone of Western air power, was no longer untouchable. In Washington, emergency meetings questioned the future of stealth and the trillion-dollar program. For Israel, the loss was more than financial. It was a blow to national pride and deterrence. Iranian state TV broadcast images of wreckage, a propaganda coup. NATO allies demanded answers. Had they invested in a flawed concept? In Moscow and Beijing, the mood was triumphant. Anti-stealth investments had paid off. The global arms market shifted overnight. For Iran, it was vindication, a message that any attack would come at a steep cost. The Middle East's balance of power had visibly changed. The F-35 was no longer a symbol of invincibility. The world's military calculus would never be the same. The fate of the downed pilots became a new flashpoint. Major Eshkol, pilot of Adir 921, was captured after ejecting deep inside Iran. His capture was a propaganda and intelligence windfall for Tehran. Israel and the West demanded his release. Iran announced he'd face trial. He became a bargaining chip in a high-stakes geopolitical game. The second pilot from Adir 928 was listed as missing, her fate uncertain, fueling grief and anger in Israel. Hardliners in both countries called for escalation. The pilots were no longer just warriors, they were symbols, their fates entwined with national pride. The human cost threatened to push the conflict beyond the battlefield. Diplomacy and restraint hung by a thread. June 14, 2025, marked the end of stealth's dominance. The downing of 2 F-35s destroyed the myth of invincibility and forced a global reassessment. Air combat would now demand more than stealth electronic warfare, drones, hypersonics, and resilient networks. The F-35 was no longer a lone hunter but a vulnerable piece in a complex system. Iran's networked multi-layered defense proved that clever integration could defeat superior technology. The sky was now a contested, lethal environment for all. The lesson: no weapon is perfect, no shield unbreakable. Victory would belong to those who orchestrate diverse systems and adapt quickly. The future of air power would be defined by strategy, not just technology.